show.
There we are. And now we are in the show.
What's up, everybody? What's happening?
What is happening? We are coming to you live. I am Nicole Kramer, speaker and sales coach. This is my co-host, Jim Morris. I'll let him introduce himself.
Business strategist, highly focused on dogs barking.
The reality of things.
This is why I love
think that's
doing
my Uber Eats. I do.
This is why I love doing lives, though, is because this is the real nitty and gritty. Like, there's nothing planned here. We're going to share some stories. We're going to talk about some things that have had massive impact on our life. And we're going to bring it to you real and raw, right? We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to, sit here and chat GBT what we should say or what we should train on. We've got a couple questions we're going to ask each other that we just talked about 2 seconds ago and felt deeply aligned. So yeah, I'm ready to jump right in. I'm excited today. I'm fired up, especially with some of these things we're going to chat about. So
me too. Well, you know what I always think of, and this is about people too. I think of the fact that someone else doing something, someone else sharing their experience, someone else being vulnerable, someone else being who they are allows others to be who they are. And I always think of the 4-minute mile story, right? Like how it wasn't possible until somebody did it. And then when somebody did, everybody was able to do it. And so I think our biggest hope in, being on here and sharing what we're sharing is that somebody else sees possibility in their own life, that my yes, your yes becomes someone else's yes. And that's really what we're here to share some stories and some content about today is like what helped us get to where we are, because I know that you and I believe and know that at the heart of all of this, it's people. It's we're all helping each other in whatever it is that we're doing, whether that's because somebody else had the courage to dye their hair blue and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I've always wanted to have blue hair and now I have the courage to do it, right? Or somebody else achieved something that you didn't think was possible. Now all of a sudden it is because you were able to see it for yourself. And that to me is what life is all about. It's let's all walk each other home.
Let's all walk each other home. Let's go. I love that. Yeah. The 4-minute mile story, you had shared that with me recently. And I was just like watching Netflix the other night and they had some special on it. So I was like, Nicole Kramer, there's always a Nicole reference in my week. Every week. I'm like, there's always something. So,
and it was on Netflix. I want to see it.
Yeah, it was like the 4-minute mile. It could be something completely different. But it popped into my head, that human connection element, that story that you shared, right? Setting the new standard, and people pushing us to do it. So yeah, I'm excited today. Do you want to share what we're going to jump into? Do you want me to share a story first? How do you want to roll?
Yeah, well, I'm open to whatever. I think, again, at the heart of it, it's showing possibility. And I think, with one of the questions you and I were talking about a few minutes ago, it's like, if you look back in your life, and maybe this is a question right now for everybody just to reflect on. If you look back on your life, anything you've done, anything you've achieved, anywhere you've been, anything you've become, there's probably another person that had an influence or an impact in some way in helping you get there. And I think, listen, I'm all for go you, right? We want to be proud of ourselves and we want to honor the things that we have done. However, I think if we're really being fair to the experience, there's always some people, whether it was good or bad, that launched you in a direction. Sometimes it's like, that's not what I want to be. That's not what I want to do. And that contrast inspired you to go in another direction. Sometimes it's, holy guacamole, you think I can do this? And then in that moment, someone's holding space for us as we learn how to step into that space for ourselves. And so, I guess I would just invite everyone to really think your achievements, your accomplishments, the person you've become, your growth. Who are some of the people that, whether they were visible or maybe played a part behind the scenes, that made that possible for you? Because I think oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think too, when you're thinking about this question, think about all the resources related to humans, right? So, was it a course that you took from Myron Golden that had a massive impact in that moment, in that time, right? Talk about human connection. Mm-hmm. I listened very clearly when Nicole tells me what she's doing and investing in herself. And she told me a couple months ago she was doing a Myron Golden seminar. So I just purposely brought that up to build deeper human connection, have relatability, relevance, presence, right? That's what I'm doing in this conversation with my friend Nicole. We should be doing
Yes.
that all the time, right?
Yes.
But like that resource, that human, it doesn't need to be the person spoke life into you, yesterday, face to face in the coffee shop. That was some random godsend of a human that changed your world, right? It could be maybe you did meet someone and have a conversation that means a lot to you now and it didn't in the moment. Maybe it was a training you saw. Maybe it was you went and got certified through exactly what to say with Nicole, and there was an experience that occurred and happened there, right? Like these people can change the trajectory. We know that, but it's those game-changing moments that lift you up when you need it most. And I think that's true leadership, but it's something that we're born with as humans, right? It's like we should always be taking care of the people we love, the people we're around, and how can we do that and show up for each other?
Exactly. And I think, you mentioned true leadership. To me, true leadership is self-leadership. And when we understand what's allowed us to get to where we are, we're able to lead ourselves to that more clearly. And sometimes that means asking for help. Sometimes that means seeking out the people who can help us get to where we're looking to go, not from a place of neediness, but from an understanding of like, we're not meant to do it all ourselves. And so I think when you see like, ooh, that question we asked, who was there in some of those pivotal moments in your life, whether they were visible or behind the scenes? And then what are you looking to do moving forward in your life that you can maybe seek out some people, some helpers, some guides to help you get there? Because I don't know about you. I think we all try to do too much on our own. And I think we isolate and we try to figure it out. We put pressure on ourselves. You get to a certain level. I know this was true for me. Like I became the number one salesperson in the company. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, I got to put pressure on myself to do it again. And I wasn't necessarily as open to asking for help because I felt like, well, I did it, so I should probably be able to prove that I can do it again and again. But the truth is, I did not get there on my own. I did not figure that out myself. And so when we really get real with ourselves and we understand that asking for help is not a weakness, it's an absolute blessing to be able to understand, hey, I do need help from people and people need help from me. And when I ask, maybe that's someone else's yes that they need to understand to ask for it themselves. And, I just think providing hope and possibility in someone sometimes is a beautiful way to help. And I know I shared a story with you, Jim, about how that happened for me. So I am a sales coach and a speaker, and I do train people in sales now. However, there was a time in my life where I wasn't doing anything in sales. I was a high school teacher. Well, at least I thought I wasn't doing anything in sales. And then I learned I was selling math to teenagers. But in all honesty, I didn't think about it as being a salesperson, right? I was a 15-year high school math teacher. But I had this, like, we all have this. I know you and I've talked about this many times, Jim, this little burning thought and desire of like, I kind of want to do something else, but I was scared. I kind of want to do something else, but I don't know if it's for me. I kind of want to do something else, but I had all the reasons, right? Like people either have the life they want or they have the list of reasons why not. That's what I've learned again and again and again. We either have the life we want or we have the list of reasons why not. And I sure as heck had my list of reasons why I couldn't leave a 15-year teaching career and go into sales. I also knew I didn't want to be salesy and pushy and slimy, the same fears that a lot of people have about being in a sales position. And I just so happened to have a conversation with a friend of mine, Rob, that he played a sport with me and he saw me play that sport. And he was like, whatever I just saw on that volleyball court needs to be in sales. And I was like, how did he know? That has been a thought in my head for a long time. Why did he just say that? That's how the universe works, right? And I was like, you think I could be in sales? And he's like, I don't think you can. I know you can. You'd be great. Whatever I just saw on that volleyball court, like that would be amazing. Like you love to win. And I was like, yeah. And I hate to lose. And so that started the beginning of my journey into sales. It wasn't like it was a hop, skip, and a jump after that, right? Like he got me an interview with his boss, fortunately. So there's an opportunity where if that person didn't exist, that opportunity wouldn't have existed, right? Rob saw something.
True.
And it still wasn't like it was just an easy hop, skip, and a jump. I went to that interview and I was basically told, well, you don't have experience. And I realized in that moment that it was going to be some steps. There was going to be some things that I was going to need to do to get myself there. In the meantime, I left that interview with high hopes because it went well. For those of you who don't know the story, I basically was moved on to the next round, but I was still going to have to prove myself. In the meantime, what I did is I went to another friend who had always told me that I should be in sales. And I just kind of, whatever, I'm a teacher. I have summers off. Like, I'm good. And his name's Jared. And I went to him and I said, hey, guess what? I interviewed for a sales position. And he goes, what? And I was like, really confused because he's been telling me for years that I should be in sales. And I was like, what? I thought you'd be happy for me. Like, that's what you always told me that I should do. He goes, I don't want you to be in sales. I want you to work for me in sales. And I was like, oh, I was very clueless to how things work. Like, I didn't know he was trying to recruit me all those years, right? I just thought he was being my friend telling me I'd be good. And he was being my friend telling me I'd be good, but he definitely saw something in me that he'd like to have on his team, I guess. So in that moment, he's like, I want you to work for me. And I was like, oh. That other friend, Rob, we're all friends together, came over in that moment, and he and Jared started talking back. And it was almost like I wasn't there. It was almost like I can see it so clearly, like it was yesterday. I was like in this elevated state of watching these two people who know me very well, kind of, politely and jokingly bicker back and forth about their compensation packages for their company, right? The one was like, do you give a cell phone and a car package? He's like, yeah, we do cell phone and car package. He's like, what else do you do? And they're like competing. Like, the only thing I could stand there and think was, they both think I can do this. They both think I'd be good at this. And that was the first time that it went from a want, a desire to be in sales, to starting to become a belief that it's something I could do. And that belief wasn't born in me. The desire was born in me. But the hope, the belief, the possibility, the certainty, the knowing was born out of these two people who I knew to be in sales, who I knew to be successful in sales, both competing with each other about the fact that I could be successful too. And that, I can't tell you how many times.
That push.
Yes.
It was that push you needed.
Yes. It's like somebody holding space for us before we are able to step into it and become that version of ourselves. Somebody else has seen it in us. And that was what that moment was for me. It was like, oh my gosh, they both think I can do this. And that's where, I go back to that so many times because that was such a beautiful memory for me with two people who I love and care about and respect very much. Thank you, Rob and Jared, both, for birthing that.
They saw it in you. They saw it in you.
Yeah.
They did when you couldn't see it yourself.
Yeah. In the same way that I bet, Jim, if you and I were to go back to our sports careers, right? You were a big baseball player. I was a big basketball player. I knew I loved the game. I knew I loved being an athlete, but my dad saw something in me that was much bigger than what I could have understood or imagined that helped me get to where I got to as an athlete. And I think in every area of our life, somebody has done that. Somebody has served that role for us, seeing it and knowing it and holding that space as we're learning how to step into it.
It's the power of relationships. It's the power of words. It's the power of affirmation. It's the power of visualization. You bring all that together from the human element, from the human eyes, from the human ears, right? And you think it through and it's like, okay, I now believe in myself, and you've saw something that I didn't. And that little ember that you were mentioning earlier starts to grow and starts to grow. And then you start to realize all the other aspects that align with it, right? Like, because we can't see it sometimes. We can't see the alignment. We can't feel the opportunity, fully, right? We just get that little bit, that little tiny bit. Yeah. And it's always someone that's pushing you, not something.
Yeah.
I think every time. I think back of just any monumental moment, right? Whether that's making a decision to, what Mother's Day Out program to put my child in, from that all the way up to who should I partner with in business? Who should I collaborate? What product, what service, all these things come through that decision-making model. And I'm learning to ask for help and to leverage different ideas and different perceptions around some of those big decisions now. Right. Yeah. And when I was thinking about this question that you just had answered of like, who's that person that saw something in you? I think back of my real estate career
Mm,
and, transitioning out of my first business that I built, selling it, coming out of COVID, selling that company and moving into real estate. I started to think about, well, okay, I know a ton of people. I could sell some houses, I could do this thing, but I know that I need to meet more people and I need to understand my audience better and how I can bring value.
mhm,
And the broker at the time sat down with me and she was like, real estate's going to be great for you, but you need to be on video, your presence, how you're on camera, your voice,
mhm,
like, and that's really what sparked that little ember in my mind to go out and buy camera equipment, to go out and get on stages and speak. And it was that little ember where she just said, "Hey, you should be doing this for real estate. You should be doing this for other things." And then I think through of like, okay, I've got this equipment. I spent thousands of dollars on it. I didn't do anything with it for a year and a half, right?
mhm,
But that
mhm.
ember started to build and build. And then someone was like, "Hey, why don't you come on my podcast?" And it was like, "What? What's a podcast?" And then it was like, "Hey, I like that." It's like, well, I do have that camera. I do have that tripod. I do have, at the time I bought like the thing that goes on the wall that's all green for green screen, and I didn't know how to do it, and I set it up wrong, and I'm using a plug mic, no Bluetooth, nothing like that, and it's scratchy because I don't know how to set it up correctly. And that first video, you know, goes out and gets done. I it was during COVID. I had like an army green t-shirt on, a thick knot like mustache. I looked like I was like putting out some like Rambo piece of content, not like, hey, this is what I learned when I sold my first business.
Right, right.
Um,
A little scruffy.
yeah, and it's like you navigate through that. And I remember calling another friend at the time, and he's like, "Just do it, just make it happen." Right. And now you look fast forward, I'm doing 4 to 6 trainings a week, and running a podcast, and I just uploaded my 700th video on YouTube. We've hit
Yeah,
250,000 downloads, right? Like, things
yeah,
are moving, but it's that little ember that
yeah,
pushed me, that person who had the conversation to spark the interest, that person to push me to do the video. And then I can give you a list of probably 20 or 30 more people that have allowed me to get to where I am today, whether it's throwing a conference, speaking in Key West, helping and collaborating new ideas and experiences, or just doing this, having a conversation with a good friend of mine in hopes we can share the stories and the benefits that humans have had and affected and really pushed us to grow.
yeah.
So
And you mentioned a couple
powerful.
of times that little spark, that little burning, right? And it's always small. And I think that's the whisper. That's the first message, right? And if we don't listen to it, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and louder, but not in a comfortable way. And sometimes that's what those people are there for, to help us challenge ourselves, right? To step into that next level and see the belief that they have and then see it in a different way, because we're looking at it from fear. We're looking at it a lot of times from, or we're hiding, like you mentioned, you
Sure.
bought the equipment and then it sat there for what, a year and a half. It's like, it's so easy to hide when we don't have someone else who knows what we're doing or who knows what's important to us. Because when we do, um, that's called accountability. They're going to call us
True.
out, right? If you've said it to somebody that you trust, that you love, that has your best interest in mind, sometimes they're going to show up and it's not going to feel comfortable how they show up, but it's in service to our truth that we've shared.
Yep.
And, I know I had this happen a couple of months ago with a client. I mean, it happens all the time with clients, right? Because when clients come to us, it's like, I care too much about what you told me that you want to do to let you give up on it. I care too much to let this not be the thing that you see to fruition, even through the fears, even through the tears, even through the things that are going to come up and feel daunting and scary. And I had a client a couple months ago that I knew was very clear on what she wanted and where she was going, but she was definitely available for standing in her way. And I showed up in a way that was not comfortable for her. And I always ask for permission. Do I have your permission to push you? Obviously you want their buy-in. And I did. She gave me permission and I pushed her. And she left a message later that day. She said, that was not a comfortable position for me to be in. And it wasn't a comfortable conversation. And I have to say thank you so much for showing up for me that way. And what it turned into for her and the opportunity she was creating for herself was the courage to go have a really tough conversation.
Yeah.
And to show up for it in a way that really was her having her own back. Otherwise, she would have kept avoiding that conversation.
Totally.
But I knew that in the grand scheme of things, she didn't want to. I knew what she really wanted. And most of the time, you and I talk a lot about people being, it's the human connection. I think it's also, we have only a certain view of things. And when we've shared something with people that are important to us, they don't have that same view. They're seeing it from a different perspective. And so there's usually a conversation that's also preventing us from getting to where we want to go, whether it's a challenging conversation, a conversation we've never had. And that's my big platform, is like, it's the micro conversations that we're having that are either helping us or hurting us.
Totally.
And it's usually the people that we're having them with, or the people that encourage us to have them, that makes all the difference.
Totally. It's interesting when you were sharing that example of your client, it just popped into my head. One of my clients that I help with their marketing and social media, they have this morning show, and there's consistently probably 50 or 60 people that show up on it. It's every day. I think he does 255 episodes a year. And he had reached out to me and he had said, it's just, I've been doing it for 2.5 years now. I think I'm just going to not do it anymore. And it was like, his perspective was, I've been doing it for a long time. Is it worth my time? Is it worth me getting up? He does it at 7:15 a.m. Monday through Friday. He's teaching, he's coaching, it's motivation, it's mindset. He does, different themes throughout the week. But he was like, it'd be nice to, wake up and have a normal morning, right? And I know how that feels. I do my Rise and Energize show in the mornings, and I know I wake up and I'm like, it'd be nice to not get on camera in 17 minutes right after I get out of the shower. I'd like to get out of the shower, right? You can see I've got my time dialed down. I get out of the shower at 17 minutes, right? But it's like, it would be nice to have an hour to just, and then start my day. But that dedication showing up, and he had said it to me, and I didn't know all those details at the time. And I said, dude, what do you mean? You got 50 or 60 people. You've got an audience. People are bragging about you. You're meeting people. You're making connections, right? I had this outside perspective. And now fast forward, he does an event in Key West. He fills the room. He's coming to Nashville in January. We're going to be doing something together, a large event. And he almost walked away from that. And I looked at the show after his conference, and it's like, things just carrying more steam. Like, more people are interacting, more people are engaging, more people are connecting. I'm sure he's brought on several clients from it because he did a damn good job at that conference, like poured it out from the heart, right? Like, I've been around, you've been around, you've seen a lot of these conferences. He did it the right way. And you see all the things that have come from that foundation of this show. And it's like, man, you almost didn't keep going, right? And he just needed that outside perspective because he was dealing with some real stuff, right? He was making a sacrifice. He is potentially not driving his daughter to school in the mornings, and his wife has to pick him up, or his, his ex-wife, whatever the situation is, right? But it almost didn't happen. And it had to take a conversation with myself. And it wasn't just me. It was a conversation with myself, another gentleman named Derek, another woman named Rebecca, right? We all said the same thing because we saw it from the outside perspective. So it might not be one person. It might be 3. It might be 30. It might be the 30th time you have to hear something. But I promise you, those relationships and that deep connection is important.
It is. And sometimes we don't even know how we're impacted. A lot of times we don't even know how we're impacting people. And I think, you know, in terms of like being an entrepreneur and doing things on social media, putting ourselves out there, going live, it can feel like nobody's watching, nobody cares. You know, I remember like my first 18 webinars that I did. This was in like 2019. Nobody showed up. Nobody. And I also was not doing a very good job inviting people because I had low confidence around it. I'm like, who would want to come to one of my webinars? Like, God forbid, I'm like, hey, the number one person in the country wants to share some things with you that I've learned, right? I was so insecure around it. And by the 18th one, I had 3 people. This is a funny story. I had 3 people show up. Every other one, like I still ran it. I still did the webinar because I'm like, A, it's practice. B, it's giving me more conviction in how I'm speaking and what I'm saying. C, I'm recording every single one. So I'm going to slice and dice them and make them into content, right? Like I totally, my entire business is built on collaboration and repurposing. Like I believe in those 2 things so much. And the 18th one, here I am. I've got 3 people. I'm like, oh my God. And probably one of them was like my mom or my aunt. I don't remember specifically. I just know I had actually 3 audience members live with me. And I was like, oh, and
Let's
right
go.
in the middle of it, my dog, who barked earlier, who everybody got to hear, starts throwing up loudly in the middle of and I'm thinking, I've done 17 of these freaking things and nothing's gone wrong. And all of a sudden I've got people live and like for anybody who has a dog and knows they do not throw up quietly. So my dog is like,
it's profusely. It's yeah, well, it's bad. Yeah, it's bad.
Clear, right? And she's like right behind me. And I'm like, well, the show must go on. And I just keep talking and I let her back there throwing up. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't even believe this is happening. But what happened not long after, so I started doing regular lives. I built a Facebook group. I started building a community, but I was still like, I don't know, are people showing up? Are people watching? And I had a sales call one day with a woman who was not on my radar. Like I just wasn't very familiar with her. She was in my Facebook group. She had recently joined. And we were chatting about, you know, some of her goals and some of what she wanted to do. And she said something that like was something I say all the time. And when she mentioned it, I went, oh yeah, that's exactly it. I say that all the time. She goes, I know, that's where I learned it from. And I was like, oh. Now, right before that, she had said to me, she goes live and nobody ever watches it and nobody ever engages with her lives. And, you know, I was telling her the story about, you know, we all kind of go through that, whatever. And then she quotes me and I was like, yeah, I say that all the time. She goes, I know, that's where I learned it from. And I said, well, when have you seen me live? And she goes, oh, I watch every single one of them. She goes, I just don't comment or like anything. I'm just one of those people that watches. And I was like, well, could it be possible that people are doing the exact, like if you're telling me you're watching all of my stuff and you've never commented on it or liked it, but you just quoted me?
Yeah.
Don't you think there's other people walking around out there that are probably consuming your content that maybe aren't telling you or revealing themselves, but are still benefiting from it? Like, could it be possible that we could see that every time we show up, whether we know it or not, that someone somewhere is impacted by it? And she was like, oh my God, I never thought about it like that. There might be people just like me who are watching my content. And that in that moment, I'm sure she walked away with an aha. I did too, because I was like, how many other people like her are watching me?
I think too, right now with the algorithm switches, people are getting 10, 15, 25 views, but those views are more dialed into the keywords, more dialed into the optimization of your profile. So you're not going to see 9,000 views potentially. You may see 40. And I just told this, I just did this with a client of ours, was like, that 18 people, those are your leads now. Like you've got to look at this engine because it is dialed down in where if 18 people are liking it or there's 25 views, like what are you doing outbound and proactively to now engage deeper with them?
Yeah.
Right? Like when was the last time you sent a message to someone that liked your content?
Yeah.
I can guarantee most of the people listening to this have not done that ever. If not, have not done that in the last 2 weeks. And we complain about views and follows, and we're not even utilizing what's in front of us because of the standard of what the online gurus say. And it's like, these are great opportunities. So,
only 3 people liked it. what is wrong with those 3 people? Are they chopped liver? Like, I'm sorry, but is that something that maybe just reaching out to them and saying, thanks for watching. What did you take away? What did you find valuable? That's so valuable for you to learn and understand. And just to make that connection. Hey, thanks for watching. I see you. Like, I think that is one of the most powerful things we can do is see others in this world, whether it's because they consumed some content of ours or we saw them do something great. It's, I see you. Thank you. And, you know, I think this is something that always drives me nuts. You did a live. Nobody was there. Nobody commented. Nobody liked. It didn't disappear. Couldn't you go start some conversations and say, hey, I'm not sure if it's for you, but I recently did this video on X, Y, and Z.
Hey.
Would you like me to send it to you to check it out? The one and done in this day and age does not exist. Your content exists forever. Why not take the link and make a list of 20 people that you think could benefit from it and say, hey, no pressure at all, but I did a video on this. I know you and I have had a conversation about it before. I'm not sure if it's for you, but would you like me to send it? Would you like me to tag you in it? Every single time I did anything, I always was like, who else could benefit? Even if they didn't see it in this moment, could I still utilize that as a reason to be in conversations with people? Because that's what it all comes down to. The people and the conversations we have with them are what create the opportunities.
Whew, what a session today. Come on, and land the plane on that one. Let's go.
If you don't ask, you don't get. Let's land the plane right there. You created something of value. You spent some of your time pouring into an opportunity for people to receive from you. Why would you not go gift it to some other people? And no, it's not salesy. No, it's not you saying, hey, do you want to buy? It's, hey, I did this free training. Thought you might want to know. Or who do you know that could benefit from it? Here it is. Why not? If you don't
Spread
ask,
the
you
love.
don't get.
We don't ask, we don't get.
You don't.
Thanks for being here with us today, everybody. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Nicole, always pouring it out, always sharing those highly emotional yet very strategic conversations. So thank you. And we'll see y'all next week.
Awesome. Bye, everybody.